advice as a teacher.
Okay, we're going to start Unit 3, but we're going to kind of combine together Ivy Tech stuff with the book that we use. I'm going to record because like half of our children are missing today, okay? So look, I have a little microphone, a little recording here. I can send it to Parker's mom if he's bad.
Hey, Mom.
So this next chapter talks about percents. But sometimes our textbook is kind of wordy. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Every problem is like a million paragraphs, right? So we're going to start with some stuff from Ivy Tech. So this is from the stuff at Ivy Tech that they give out to their quantitative students. And this is how I was taught to do percents as well. Anytime you have a percent problem, this little fraction here, this little proportion, my high school teacher taught us this. Is over of equals percent over 100. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. That if you have a problem about percents and you're not sure how to solve it, if you can take the amount, which is the is part, and the base, which is the bigger part, and set that equal to the percent over 100, because percents are just out of 100, so that's just changing the percent back to a decimal, you can solve these problems, okay? So I'm not going to read all of this to you, but you can read it if you want. But let me show you some examples of this. So it says, what amount is 20% of 160? So if you know that little proportion, is over of equals percent over 100, every number in this problem goes in one of those spots. So where do you think the 20% goes?
Over 160.
No.
What?
The percent goes with the percent. So it would go with 20 over 100. And then if you don't know which one is the amount and which one is the whatever they called it, it's literally the numbers next to the word is and of. So you see how this says of 160? So guess what? The 160 goes in the of spot.
I literally just got my aura snatched and you're videoing this. I forgot you were videoing and you snatched my aura.
And then we don't know what the is. What amount is, that's our x value. And so, well, you can, but sometimes it's tricky of knowing what to do. So I'm just showing you that this always works. And you're right, there are other ways to do this. What about the next one, though? If you were trying to do your trick, Parker, if I said 72 is 40% of what number, you can't just take 0.4 times 72. It only works on certain problems, but my proportion works on every problem. And then how do you solve this problem? Well, hold on. We can solve this first, though, right? And really, we could cross multiply. But to solve for x, do you agree that I could just multiply the 160 over? Like that would get rid of the 160? I used to always cross multiply, and I had a foreign exchange student once that said, why are you doing that when you should just multiply the 160 over? And I said, huh, good point.
What do you mean?
Because if I just multiply the 160, I'm done. If I cross multiply, which I'll get the same answer, if I cross multiply, I would get 100x equals 20 times 160, and then I still have to divide by 100. You see how it's a two-step problem if you do it that way? But you know what's fantastic? Both ways get you the right answer. So as long as you're doing the math correctly, it doesn't matter which way you do it. My husband had a teacher when he went to Ivy Tech that said, how do you go to Indianapolis? Parker, how do you go to Indianapolis?
I don't. Never drove in.
July, how do you go to Indianapolis? 465.
I go in front of the airport.
I've never driven in Indianapolis.
70 to 465. Could you take 40 to get to Indianapolis? Yeah. I live in Bainbridge, so guess what? I take 36 to 465 to get to Indianapolis. But what happens? Do we all end up in Indianapolis? We could all end up in the same spot still, but we could get there in different directions. And that's what math is. We can approach a problem in a lot of different ways, But as long as we're not getting lost, as long as we're following the directions,
Streets kill.
we're gonna all get to the same way. So there's more than one way to solve these problems, is what I'm trying to say. What's the answer to this one? Did anybody do it? 32. 32 is the answer.
How did you get 32? I'm so confused still. You said you don't need to carry it. Why do you hate me?
I took times 160. So on my calculator, I'm gonna take 20 over 100 times 160.
Oh, so you just do 20
Which is 32.
100.
Which is right. You could take 0.2 times 160 and get the same answer. But Parker, do your weight on the second one and tell me what you get.
72 is 40%. Because
Because for me, doing the is over of equals percent over 100, I don't have to think. I just plug in the numbers. The percent is going to go here, 40 over 100. And 72 is, so 72 is my top number, and this time I'm looking for the bottom number. Like I'm looking for the whole part this time. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just take 0.4 times 72 because that's not going to get you the right answer.
I could literally just like low-key kind of just guess and check.
What if the answer was like a weird decimal though? Like, because it's not always going to be a whole number. So a guessing and check works sometimes, but having a procedure is the better method, as much as you don't want it to be. So on this one, I am going to cross multiply. So I would get 40x equals 7,200. Everyone with me on that? Cross multiplying?
Yeah.
And then I would divide by 40. And I get 180, which makes sense. 72 is 40% of 180. 180 should be the bigger number. So what I really like about this proportion is it works no matter which part you're solving for. Same thing on the last one. It says 60 is what percent of 200. So now this time, I'm looking for the percent,
It's 30%.
but 60 over 200 is what percent of, sorry, is over of equals percent over 100.
Hey, I bet I know the answer.
Okay, but you didn't know the middle one, Parker. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to give you a way that works for everything. And so again, you could cross multiply here, but when the x is on the top, I could really just multiply the 100 over. So I get 60 over 200 times 100, 30%, right? I'm going to say 30%. Easy peasy, right? I'm not going to do all four of these because we might come back and you have to do some of these. But let's do one of the ones that's not just an individual word problem. Like which one? You want to do the left-handed one or the blood type?
Left-handed.
She said blood type first.
No.
Sorry, I don't care.
She doesn't care. I care.
All right. Number 3 says 15% of Americans are left-handed, and there are 314 million Americans. How many Americans are left-handed? Round to the nearest whole person. So this is where, if you're using the is over of equals percent over 100, sometimes you have to think about what is that question asking. So we're saying they're giving us the total amount, right? So we're saying what is 15% of 314 million? Here.
Oh, I was gonna put 15 on the other side and 314 on below.
Because 314 million is the whole amount, and we're looking for the is in this one, which means your way would you have a shortcut, Parker, on this one.
Which percent on the right side, so it'd be 15 over 100.
Okay.
And then x on the left side, on the other side, over 314 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do too.
See, that's what I was gonna do.
That's good because that means we're doing the right things.
But also, honestly, if I get this question, I'm gonna do the easy route, and I'm just gonna multiply
Take
314 million.
0.15 times 314 million, which is exactly what I'm gonna do.
But just the harder.
But it works every time. That's what I'm saying. It just works every
It
time.
sucks every time. But
What about this? Are you gonna type all the zeros in your calculator when you do this? What happens if I don't? What happens if I just take 15 over 100 times 314? What happens if I do that on my calculator? Either way, I need a calculator. Do that on your calculator. Do 15 over 100 times only 314 and not all the numbers, all the zeros. Type it in your calculator. I got 47.1. What does that mean?
Yeah, calculated.
So could I add all the zeros, or what else could I put after that instead of adding all the zeros?
Billion?
Could I just say the word million after it, just like I said 314 million? So when I get that answer, I could just say 47.1 million people. Is that rounding to the nearest whole person? Well, now I'm tricking you. When I say 47.1 million, am I saying 0.1 of a person?
No, if that's 100,000.
Yeah, that.
Round to the nearest 100,000.
Right? Those mean the same thing. 47.1 million is the same as 47,100,000, which means we have already rounded to the nearest whole person. Okay? Okay.
Okay, do 5 times
No.
1,000. Do 5 times 1,000.
Why?
You have to calculate it.
So now they just talk about some other ways that you can do this. I don't know. Notice that they say of means multiplication. We knew that already. Is means equal. And now they're using amount and base. So this is Parker's way of doing it, I think, which I like the is over of equals percent over 100. I don't know if I like this or not. But it says an amount is the percent of the base. Or the percent times the base is the amount. Those are the same thing. Do you agree with that? So this is the other way to do percent problems, maybe the way that you thought of before. So it says 75% of 12 is what number? Guess what? We could do the is over of thing I just showed you, or what Parker was saying earlier. I could say 75% of means multiply, which just means times 12, is going to give me the answer. And when you type 75% in your calculator, you have to write it as a decimal. Or, guess what? If you do second and the parenthesis, the number above the 8, it has a percent button and it'll do the decimal for you. But percent is just dividing by 100. So that's the same as 0.75 times 12 is what I'm going to type in my calculator. Or you can play around with the percent button if you want. 0.75 times 12. Oh my gosh, the answer is 9. So see, Parker, they're showing you your way too. But maybe everybody didn't. But this is where I like the proportion way better. I like is over of equals percent over 100. Because when you do the second problem, you have to remember that the base is what you're multiplying by, the big number. So it says 15% of what number is 39. So this time we don't know what the base is. So you would have to say, I'm going to write it as a decimal this time, 0.15 of what is 39. I'm not going to force you to do one way or the other. I'm just showing you both ways work. Okay? They both work all the time as long as you put the numbers in the right spot. I like is over of equals percent over 100 because I feel like it helps me just know where the numbers go. But this, I mean, if you memorize this, percent times base equals amount. But now to do this, to solve this, you would have to divide by 0.15. And I got 260. So 15% of 260 is 39.
50. That's a lot of percent.
250 is what percent of 50? So again, this one we're looking for the percent.
250 x 50.
So which one? 250 is what percentage of 50?
No, they flipped it on me. 50x 250, right? Because it is.
Is the new amount. I think the 250 goes here.
I hope you're wrong.
250 is what
50
percent
50
of
x
50?
equals 250. 250 is the percentage of 50.
No, 250 is not the percentage. 250 is the amount.
250 is what percentage of 50? Think about it. It's 500%.
But is
So you're telling me, but this isn't right.
That's what it's asking.
doesn't it tell you that it's
250 is what percentage of 50? Think about it. Really think about it, though. It's 500%.
Yeah, I think it's over 100%. I do
It's
agree.
500%.
But then how do we write it is what I'm asking.
Not like that. Because 50 is the amount, and 250 is the base.
See, look, this is where I like my is. I'm doing is over of.
So do it.
Yeah.
Do it, Hulker.
Because 250 is the is, and we're solving the of is 50. Is what over 100? Which you're right, Parker. I was just confused where to plug in my. I'm asking where do I plug my numbers in up here?
Tell me I'm right again, so I can just hear it again.
Parker, you're right.
Let's go.
Because when you solve that, you get 5. But when you multiply by 100, that's 500%. So I think I'm not a fan of this way.
So
we got
250x equals 50. All right, and we divide that.
No, this is what we would have. I have my numbers right the first time.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You didn't. I'm gonna tell you right now, you didn't. You didn't.
Yes, you did.
Because if you divide this over, you get 5. But you got to remember that's a percent.
You get 50x divided by 250. 250 divided by 50 is 5.
But that's
so,
the
and that's not
percent.
a percent though.
So then you have to remember
It's
to
not
solve for the
5%.
percent.
You're wrong. I'm right. I don't care. I don't care.
Okay, whatever. This is why I think
Right.
I'm a fan of this.
Which one's right? I just need to know which one's right.
This is right, but you have to remember that you have to then solve for the percent, which is out of 100, which is why I think I'm not a fan of this way, and I'm a fan of this way.
I'm just gonna start doing
Okay.
this.
Okay.
I don't know how to cross multiply still.
So this was the right setup. I had the numbers right, but you have to remember you're solving for the percent, which is why I am a fan of this. Most yes, there are times I could just take 7 times the percent and get the answer right away. But when I'm solving for something else other than the partial amount, the is over of equals percent over 100 is the better choice. But the reason that this is over 100% is because we're starting with 50 and ending at 250. When I was in high school, I remember doing percents, and I remember just really struggling how something could be more than 100%, because for me, percents was like part of a whole. So I was like, how could something be more than 100%? But can you think of something in real life that could be more than 100%? Can I have more
my
than
effort levels.
what?
My effort levels.
No.
My aura. My aura.
So can I eat more than 100% of a whole pizza?
Yeah.
No. If I ate the whole pizza, it would be 100%. But could prices have increased by more than 100%?
You know, but you can also.
Could your height? I mean, that'd be a big height growth if your height increased by more than 100%. But if you went back from when you were born till now, guess what? Your height has increased by more than 100%. You've more than doubled in height. So that's things that can be over 100%. People talk about like inflation prices. When you compare the price of a gallon of milk in 1930 to the price today, sometimes it might be like 400% more, and that can be over 100%. But you can't eat over 100% of a pie, right? And I really struggled with that for some reason in high school. Like I just really hated that idea. But
Can you believe we got a threat?
no.
Can you believe that? Like, ooh. Yeah, no. Who would want to do that?
Parker, I'm recording. Let's look at one of these. Again, let's look at one that is a word problem with percents. So do we want to talk about allergy to peanuts or income taxes? Taxes. Is that what you said? So look at number 4. It says if you paid $169.52 in income taxes on your gross monthly earnings of $1,304, what is your income tax rate? So first of all, which part of this equation are we solving for? The is, the of, or the percent?
Percent.
Because we're saying what percent, right? Your tax rate is your percent. And this is where you can use this way, or you can use the is over of way. I am a big fan of the is over of way. Parker has definitely shown us he is not a fan of the is over of way.
I refuse to open the door at all.
But is over of is the is the part and of is the whole. So your whole amount is the bottom of your fraction. The is the portion that you paid.
What? No.
And then we can say of 100. Yes, 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 Parker. Because if you flip that over, then you paid more money than you made, right? Like I hope our tax rate isn't more than we paid here. So if I take 162.52 divided by 1304, that's going to give me a decimal, which is where I multiply by the 100, and we get that this person is paying 13% income tax. And if you have a job, when you get your paycheck, probably your check stub is online now because everything's direct deposit. But you can get online and you can see how much taxes they took out, and you can kind of see at what rate they're taxing you. You don't have a full-time job, so I hope they're not taxing you very much. Okay.
I used that.
Yes, that's so exciting.
When I worked at Walmart. You don't. You're a Taco Waco.
I'm a double working now.
You have fun with that.
So I feel like this is just the same thing over and over again, isn't it? Okay.
Alright.
So here's what I want you to do for the rest of the day, okay? I want you to go back and do the problems we didn't do. So go back and I want you to do 1 and 2 and 4.
The first one.
Yep. And then I want you to do, oh my gosh, 1 and 2 and 3 on the ones that we just did, right? That's 6 questions.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Nope, you're gonna do it right now. And go to the, well, okay, we'll stop there. We'll do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you have 6 questions to do. So everybody needs to be working on this. And if you have questions, you can talk to each other. You can ask me. Then we'll go from there tomorrow. Okay?
No.
So I feel like you need to focus on the work.